Welcome back to JNS Daily Drives, everyone. My name is Jacob, and today we're going to be taking a look at this 2018 Mercedes-Benz CLA 250 4MATIC Coupe. In today's video, we're going to go over the exterior as well as the interior, talk about what's powering the CLA 250, and see what it's like to drive. I'd like to start with the front of the Mercedes-Benz CLA 250. It has the classic Mercedes-Benz grille here, not the Panamericana grille that you'll find on some of the higher end, more AMG performance versions of these cars. But on this car, we do have a couple subtle touches. We have this nice chrome splitter down here, which helps to deflect air and make it more aerodynamic. Other than that, up front we have actually this emblem. When it's dark and you have the headlights on, this emblem actually glows, which is kind of cool. It has the Mercedes-Benz emblem glowing like so. We have the same Mercedes-Benz logo up there as well. The headlights are beautifully shaped, actually. I'm pretty impressed with the way they look. Very unique, and they make this car look very good, I must say. Now we move on to the side of the Mercedes-Benz CLA. We're greeted by a very compact sedan. Yes, this car has 4 doors, and yes, it's also called a coupe. It's what Mercedes refers to as the sloping coupe-ish sedan, meaning 4 doors, lower roofline, makes it look a little bit more aggressive. Now the wheels here, we have 17-inch wheels, which I think actually look pretty good. Considering that they're only 17 inches, they look mighty fine, I must say. The brakes work fantastic. They're nothing special, regular old steel discs, but they do a good job. Moving on to the side of the CLA, like I said, you can notice that sloping roofline towards the rear. Now, that does cut off headroom in the back just a little bit, and I'll show you when I step inside that it's a little bit tight, but it's not too bad. Overall, I think the design style of the CLA is quite elegant. It's very beautiful. It falls along with the newer Mercedes. Instead of all of these sharp edges, they're more round, but they still maintain that aggressive look and aggressive nature. Now I'm going to go ahead and crawl into the back real quick and kind of give you a sense of what the headroom is like back there. Frameless doors, I like that. It makes it look, more like a coupe, because coupes have the exposed glass here. Go ahead, we'll hop on in. Now the seat is pretty far back, so don't mind that, but in terms of headroom, I'm 6'2", and you can't really see me because it kind of cuts off right here, but the headroom isn't great. I'd have to kind of sit up more like up here to really get a full male back here who's 6'2" or above. The space is pretty good considering that it is a smaller car. If the seats were pushed up a little bit more, it'd be even better, but that headroom, it is one of the things that this car lacks. But if we step out exterior in a non-elegant fashion, we can start to talk about the rear of the car. Now the rear of the Mercedes-Benz CLA is very similar to that of the CLS, which is kind of between the E-Class and the S-Class. They introduced a new one just a couple of years ago. It looks fantastic. That sloping roofline carries down all the way and tapers right to the front end. If you actually look at the design of the trunk lid, it actually slopes down a little bit too. As you can see, it's really small. It's really short, but I think it looks very good. The tail lights, they flow just enough with the rest of the car. Dual exit exhaust sounds actually pretty good, I must say. We'll get a sound of that in a second. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at the trunk to see what the space is like back there. Is there any space to put anything in the back of a CLA? Let's find out. Go ahead and pop the trunk on the CLA, and as you can see, it's actually pretty good. There's not a whole lot of room back there, but there's definitely enough. So the seats fold down like so, giving you much more cargo space for the rear, obviously taking up the space of the rear seats. With that being said, located right here is the space when the seats are folded in the normal position for 5 passengers. And located right here is with the seats folded down for maximum cargo space. So now that we move to the side of the Mercedes-Benz CLA again, I'd like to talk a little bit about the engine. So that is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine producing 208 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Now that torque comes on between 1200 and 4000 RPM. I think you should take a look. Let's go. So now we're here. This is the engine, the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. I can tell you that this car produces ample power and ample torque, making it fun to drive and good on fuel. I think we should hear how it sounds. Now that we've heard how the engine sounds, and it sounds pretty good, let's go to the back and get an exhaust clip of this beautiful Mercedes. We've heard how the engine sounds, gotten that exhaust clip, and talked a little bit about the exterior. There's nothing left to do but go for a drive. Before we go on with the rest of this review, I have to say a special thank you to Norm and the rest of the team over at International MotorCars. For the past couple months, Norm and International MotorCars has been helping me film these videos by providing me with these awesome cars. We've got this CLA, we've got a GL, an Audi RS4 and RS5, a Tesla. They've got it all. Those are just the cars that I've reviewed so far. They've got everything from Honda Civics to Lamborghini Gallardos. They're also the #1 Nissan GTR and Mitsubishi Evo dealership in all of Alberta. So make sure you go check them out. Linked in the description below will be their website along with the link to this exact car, which I said is for sale right now. So now that we're inside and we're driving the 2018 Mercedes-Benz CLA 250 4MATIC Coupe. It's a big name. It's a huge name for a tiny car. But now that we're inside and we're driving, we can begin to talk a little bit more about that engine and the transmission that it's mated to. So like I said, that's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine producing just over 200 horsepower and just over 250 pound-feet of torque. Now that's all mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, which is so fast at shifting. It's incredible. When I'm in sport mode, and if I want to there is zero loss in power, there's no lag, it is instantaneous. The shifts happen just like that, like wow, the shifts are quick in this car. Very impressed. For a car that only has 200 horsepower and just over 250 pound-feet of torque, you wouldn't expect it to have such an amazing transmission, but this car absolutely has that. This transmission is very similar to the Audi RS5 that I drove. Very quick, very easy to use. Let's talk about how the car drives. So the Mercedes CLA is their very small, very small sedan. It's called a coupe because of the design and how small it is. And it drives like one. It drives very well, it's very tight. The steering feels amazing, it's very direct. We're gonna get some twisty corners in a second. But just the way that it feels to drive is fantastic. It's very easy to drive. Put it into drive, and if you put it into comfort mode, there's 4 different modes, and I'll talk about them in just a second. If you put them in comfort mode, it's so easy. It's like every other car. And that's what this car is designed for. This car is designed to be kind of an entry into luxury. It's Mercedes-Benz saying, this is what you can have for this much money, and it still has the Mercedes-Benz name. It still has a bunch of cool features that all of the big Mercedes-Benz have, like the S-Class, E-Class, and stuff like that. So this car is a phenomenal value for money, I must say. For starting around 38,000 Canadian, this car is a great deal. You have very nice leather surfaces everywhere. You have beautifully finished accents as well, which make it look awesome. I love the air vents in here. The steering wheel feels amazing to hold. It just feels nice in your hand. Another cool thing about this car is because it has a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, it actually moves pretty well. 0 to 60 happens in about 6.5 seconds, which is pretty good for a car that, you know, isn't really designed to be quick. It's not an AMG, it's a 250. Think about that. It's their base model engine for this car, and yet it still does 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It's very impressive. This car also features an array of safety technology built into it as well. So if I scroll across to drive assist, I have my assistance graphic, which I can change, ESP, which is my traction control, which is all through here, active brake assist, attention assist, and we have a few others like blind spot assist. And, you know, like I said in the Mercedes GL video, these are such nice features to have. They're very calming. They give you a sense of comfort when you're driving a car like this, because you know that it's going to help you make sure that you don't crash it, don't get hurt, and nobody else you care about gets hurt. And that's what this car does very, very well. It's a small little car with ample amount of power. It's fun in the corners, as I'm about to show you now, and it's safe. What more could you ask for? I'm in sport mode right now. I'm going to go to manual. Turn in's good. Little to no body roll because this car is so small. It handles like a dream. All-wheel drive means that it's going to push to understeer just a little bit, but I'd say that did pretty well. Honestly, I'd say this is about an 8 out of 10 in terms of handling. It's very impressive, I must say. The driving modes that this car has, this car, like I said, has 4 different driving modes. This car has comfort, individual, eco, and sport. So sport is gonna liven things up a little bit, make the steering a little bit stiffer, more dynamic, and make the engine want to move like that. It's very impressive when you put this car into sport mode. It just rips. It's a fun little car. No, it's not incredibly fast, but it definitely is quick. Individual configuration. So if you see this on the screen right here, I have my engine or my drive configuration. So I have, I'll click engine, I have sport, manual, eco, or comfort. So sport, obviously, like I said, is going to make it a little bit sportier and all this stuff. It all makes perfect sense. Now if I go back, I have my climate control, which is an interesting thing that I can adjust. I can adjust how I want it to be. I can either be eco or comfort. Steering, I can have it be sport or comfort as well. And then I can also adjust whether or not I want my start stop off, but I have a button down here for that as well. Let's talk about how easy it is to drive, like how comfortable it is. You know, what are the materials like? How well built is this Mercedes? We have soft materials, even the plastics, yeah, they're plastic, but you know, there's a place for them, right? The door handle feels good. All of this leather, all of this, it feels fantastic. This car is built so well, you can just tell by the way you push a button. The seats are wonderful. I think they look really cool too. It's kind of a one piece without an actual headrest. It just has the built-in headrest within the seat as well. The bolster is okay, it's not amazing, but I'm assuming with the AMG you would get a little bit more. For this car, the seats are fantastic, very comfortable. We have power adjustability on the driver's side, and the passenger side is actually an option. So you can option to get it either a manual seat or a power adjustable seat if you do so choose. Very comfortable to ride in. You don't really feel the bumps, like I said, a little bit because the car is so small. But other than that, this car is an unbelievably awesome place to sit and even better to drive. Talk a little bit about the efficiency of this car because, you know, in today's world, that's really the name of the game. Car companies are focusing so much on fuel efficiency and downsizing engines to help meet the emission standards that countries are setting for them. For example, this car is averaging, right now, it's averaging about 9.5 liters per 100 kilometer, which is, I must say, pretty good. We've been driving it relatively aggressively, but it does a fantastic job of balancing efficiency with sportiness as well. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on this 2018 Mercedes-Benz CLA 250 4MATIC Coupe. Like I said before, it's an absolutely humongous name for an absolutely tiny car. But this car is absolutely fantastic and I've loved driving it. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to smash that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can stay up to date to our videos. So if you have any comments on this car, make sure to drop it down below. We'll see you next time.